Good afternoon, class. This is Zach talking about Unit 4 for our master's course, and we're talking about thin versus thick clients and a software architecture. Normally, I would prefer a thick infrastructure, or thick is the most of the processing is done on the client side, because that's what we have currently. However, for the sake of education and learning, I'm going to make some good arguments for the other side. And I'm going to support the use of a thin client architectural system. And one of the reasons why I'd want an architectural system that's thin, but it's mostly done on the server side, is it can help protect against client-side attacks. So if your client's being hacked or whatever, I could see there being some, because there's limited processing abilities, you can't extract a lot of information, you cannot process a lot of information, you're restricted to accessing that server, and that server can hopefully identify those clients that have been compromised and shut down any further attack. The other side to this is, if we're talking about straight up mouse, keyboard, screen, there may not be an ability to actually interface with like a USB drive or any storage devices to capture that information, although one could theoretically interrupt that signal from the keyboard to the computer or on the screen itself. But that being said, if we're talking about a really thin infrastructural system, you may not be able to use your standard tools to be able to compromise that system. So for that reason, I could see that, like for our bike scenario that we have for our classes, for our project, that a thin infrastructure might be appropriate for our bike rides sharing application, because we don't want our clients to be processing the information. They're pretty much at a read-only status with few entry points into the system, so they don't need to be doing much processing, and we can save the client a lot of their client resources. It also makes things run faster for the client, potentially, because we're not bogging down their system. Like if they're using their phone to access an app, I think that could be very beneficial for a thin side, because the phone would just be receiving the information from the app as opposed to using the app to draw calculations and integrate with other resources. That being said, nope, not going there, because we were defending the thin client. So sticking along with those lines, a thin architectural system would just be probably a easier, faster interface, especially if you're talking about the speeds we have today. The sending of now doing the calculations on the server side and pushing to the clients, and if the app is built correctly, they can receive good chunks of information in a prioritized manner, so that way they still have very fast run speeds. They cannot integrate with the system, so they're kind of locked out, and the app would be lightweight from the client side. So that is kind of how I'll make the argument for today.